You're listening to the episode of Mr. Alex Neighborhood. This is a place we're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, another great day in the neighborhood. We have the mayor here today, so we have lots going on in the city. Of course, we're in an election situation, election season. I guess it really starts in about 10 days when the deadline for signing up is going to be over. Do you think there'll be a third candidate for?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Well, that'd be interesting. But if they did, but I haven't heard anything either. But I'm often actually the last to know because they're afraid that I get up here and I'll slip and I'll say something or whatnot, or maybe they don't think I can keep a secret or something like that. Who knows? But we also, if you're still thinking about running in any of these races, the deadlines are coming up. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Well, you look at a situation like our school board race we have in place 4. We got 2 high quality candidates. Now, I, of course, full disclosure, I'm on Shandy's team and will be. But it's nice to see we draw good candidates for these races. So there you are. Anyway, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that went on last night at the meeting, and past couple of meetings. If you have questions, put them on the screen. Be nice. Put them on the screen. We'll have them. I had not many, but I had a handful of questions from some of your faithful viewers that either texted me or private messaged me, and they were appropriately put, so I don't have to really edit them or anything like that. So I'll try to put them on as close as y'all put them on there. But if you have questions or comments or whatnot, put them on the screen here with us. Join the show. Share it with your friends. It's just important. We have, I teach in my government class. We focus on the federal government and all the charades and the crap that goes on up there, but really local governing impacts y'all more than any other. The school board and the city council and the county, and this system impacts your daily life, whatnot, much more than what Joe Biden could do to you. Speaking of which, you're going to watch that State of the Union address tonight? I'm talking to you. Yeah. No, I'm not either.
I'm sorry. This will probably upset people. I just don't like hearing him talk.
All right. Well, no, it didn't upset me. And I don't like State of the Union address. I don't care who's giving them. I think they're a charade. To get up there, the president will say, "Good afternoon," and half the crowd goes nuts, and the other half, "Harumph, what's so good about it?" And then, it's a lot of grandstanding going on, and it's not what the Founding Fathers intended. They basically just wanted the president to send a written message over to Congress once a year. That's the only required thing he has in the Constitution.
The ceremony that goes on around it takes forever.
And this circus and, everybody wants to get on the show. And
I wonder if McCarthy's going to tear the script up.
Yeah, like Ms. Pelosi did that. I thought that was pretty poor. And also, last year I thought was poor when Green and Boebert were hollering and yelling at him. I think my opinion of Mr. Biden is fairly well shared, but I don't think that's an appropriate thing to do during a presidential speech, just stand up and scream at him.
I agree.
But I guess that's one of the few things I sympathize with him about, but there you are. So let's talk about these things after the sponsors, though, because they make the all as possible. You know these sponsors well, I'm sure. Also, we got CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire, Daniel Baisden and crew. They'll help you get a workout. They'll help you with the programs. They got trainers. They got regimens there. They have supervision. It's the whole thing. And so if you're looking to get fit, don't throw a fit, get CrossFit. I just kind of threw that together.
I noticed.
Yeah. And so,
you didn't put a lot of thought into that,
no,
did you?
Not really. I made up a slogan for him.
Taylor likes it.
Yeah, well, it's part of the fun. But anyway, go work out. If keep in shape because, swimsuit season's coming. Some of y'all, I don't even want to think about it. All right.
My God.
I know it. Anyway, now, Shandy, let's go on.
I left it alone.
Yeah, well, I don't have to win votes, so there you are. Stoggsville Group, Shandy, of course, knows all the real estate. She'll be on next Monday. We'll talk a little bit about real estate, but we'll also talk about her campaign for Place 4 in the school board. And she has a couple of events this week. So look on her election page to find out when you, as a parent, you can actually talk directly to the candidate. So, check that out because the school board races are very important. And so good luck to you, Shandy. Also, thank you to Otto. I was there a couple of days ago. I'll be there later in the week. How often do you go there? 3 or 4 times a month?
I probably 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Chicken pot pie. I like their breakfast. I meet with you guys on Thursdays.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore this semester because I'm in Dallas.
You teaching.
Yeah, I got 8 o'clock class on Thursdays now, and it's,
I'm new to the group, but they sure do talk about you when you're not there.
I'm sure that's the case. Yeah, man. Well, they're probably all praises, no doubt. But anyway, Our Place Restaurant, you know where it is on Allsbury and Highway, and there you go. Also, thank you to Wild Cigar and Culture. I was there Friday afternoon, and I was meeting with one of my B&I friends, and it's a great place. Have a cigar and a drink and all this other stuff, and it's quiet. You can think, you can hear yourself talk. I didn't have to shout at my guest here. I could just visit. They have big Super Bowl plans this Sunday, so if you're looking for something to do on Super Bowl Sunday, you can run out there.
Got a big feeling you better get there early.
Well, it's going to be a full house. When they were doing other big sporting events, they're not a sports bar, but they got to set up for it. And I went there one afternoon on a Sunday. We were doing a Cowboy game, just a typical Cowboy game, and they had 2/3, 3/4 of it full. And so in the playoffs and such, the bowl games, Chris told me they had good crowds, so there you are. Maybe you can show up, you think?
Probably not.
Give you a Shirley Temple, maybe. Some ginger ale and Dr. Pepper or whatever. All right.
That was a little demeaning.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's your gig. Local Life magazine is out. Tiffany is around. I saw Jimmy at Our Place, and apparently she had a little dog take a nip at her, and so, but Tiffany toughed it out, and she's going to have the magazine out. It's already out, and she also has the locallifetx.com up and running as well.
I think she's going to do something with all the candidates too.
Yeah, I hope so. I wouldn't doubt that at all. I've been trying to get her on the show, but she's like, it's so busy, and then we'd set up a time, and then she'll have to postpone it because something comes up with her business. And
I understand that.
You know how it works, right? If there's going to be money on the table, Mr. Allard, you can just wait. Anyway, Local Life magazine, it's out there right now. So also, we have Southern Jim, which I know Miss Nancy is a patron of.
She's a buddy of them.
Yeah.
First name basis.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's gotten, I hope to meet Robin a couple of times. Robin's come home and said, that she had come by and whatnot. And,
that's so nice to have a quality jeweler in town instead of having to go to Fort Worth.
Well, a lot of the old Willard's customers, Mr. Willard just kind of and let her take over it, like bequeathed them to her. In effect, he recommended Gail.
That's where Nancy used to go.
Yeah, and so when he was retiring and he said, you need to go to this new place, I mean, it really helped Gail quite a bit. He was a very good gentleman about that. And
Bobby wouldn't have done that if he didn't know the quality.
Oh, yeah. I met him once for jewelry business many, many years ago, so I can't really say I know him. But that was his reputation. Now, the ice storm last week put everything on hold about her move downstairs, but I think it's back on track, and they're hoping in about 5 weeks to be downstairs right next to Revelry. And so next time you go there with Nancy, she's going to have a place to park the husbands. That's what I always thought was a good idea. You have a TV and, soda, whatever else you want. So it's going to be that's a good idea. Also, thank you to Hotworks. I had Michelle on last Monday, a week ago, and she also brought a friend of hers. You ever done that cryotherapy?
I have.
You have? The one over on Allsbury?
Yes.
And Suncrest?
Over by, what is it, Snow Cone Place?
Yeah, Bahama Bucks or whatever it is. Yeah. You tried it. Did it work for you? Just cryo?
Not what I was expecting.
Oh,
I could see improvements, but it was for my knees, and I'm missing some lining in spots, and you're not going to grow new lining because you got in cryogenics. But the rest of it, I could see it working.
Well, here it is, Sarah Carlson C3 cryotherapy. It was interesting because you got Michelle on one end of the spectrum, and so to speak, with the heat and the infrared, and then you had Lisa Flynn with her therapies, and they complement each other. They don't compete with each other. And so it's really interesting because they have a lot of the same clients.
I think it works. I really do. But I could see improvements in my other parts, but it just wasn't my knees. It wasn't doing it for that.
Also, thank you to Melissa Harmon at Texas Farm Bureau, 682-804-0534. So check out your insurance. Make sure you're getting the best deal for your dollar, and maybe improve your insurance. It helped with mine, saved me a few bucks. Lowered my house payment a few bucks by having low insurance. So we'll see what happens with y'all. So give it a shot, 682-804-0534. Now we have a couple of nonprofit things running. We have also over in Summercrest and Allsbury, we have at the Trinity Chiropractic, we have the coat drive. Dr. Dias is offering a free exam, free x-rays, free adjustments if you come by with a coat, and they will give to the Beautiful Feet Ministries of Fort Worth for the homeless. So it could be a new or slightly used coat, and you get a free doctor's appointment. And maybe if you have need for more therapy, you can work that out. Also, we have the Harvest House, which is, I know, near and dear to the mayor's heart.
Yes, it is.
And the fridge fund. Jennifer is trying to raise some money so they can have a walk-in refrigerator freezer. They have some of the money. They need about $20,000 more for its purchase and installation. So let's pony up some dough. She'll be on the show at the end of the month. We're trying to work out the exact day, but she comes on towards the end of every month. And
That program, that will raise the whole level of what they're able to do.
It really will. She and Debbie Beeman over at Promises both have been on this. Obviously, Jennifer's been on several times. Debbie's been on before. And they talk about the need and the dignity, if you will, of self-shopping. And this is going to allow them a lot more than what they used to do.
Oh, the pantry, it is grown. It's more efficient. Move people through a little bit faster.
Yeah, and I know you and your church role have been part of that for a while.
We, when I was on the board, when I first got on, they was doing a pack the pulpit, as we call it. And one day a year, that Sunday, everybody brings food, and that is grown. I'm talking out of turn here, but I think we, in one Sunday, we took 12,000 pounds of food.
Well, that's a lot. 6 tons, huh?
Yep.
Wow, I'll do it. Well, and they also got that the resale shop is really doing even better than they thought, and they're getting some pretty good stuff. My wife got a piece of Waterford, high dollar crystal. Yes, it was a jar, and she got it for very cheap. Waterford is not inexpensive.
I recognize the name.
Yeah, and it's like, what? Okay, it was in a resale shop, and she got it for like $10. So there you are.
Good deal.
Now let's talk about some school or city business rather. Last night, I was kind of glancing through the stuff, and Sarah helps me with this as well.
I want to, before we get too far.
Sure.
I was invited to the groundbreaking of Open Doors Food Pantry outside of Joshua. It's actually in the Burleson city limits, but I went to that, and that is a phenomenal program too. Open Door, they 2 lines of cars lined up getting food. Is this
related to Open Door Church?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Troy and all those guys. So I want to give a shout out to them. This whole town has got the biggest heart you'll ever see.
It really is. Like I've said many times here, sitting in this seat, I've been introduced to a lot of people that are really very selfless in what they do. Matter of fact, like 2 days from Thursday, Next Step Women's Center will be here. Megan and Summer will be here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they got a lot of plans. They have a big fundraiser in April. They have that Walk for Life and things like that. So we're going to help them get that promoted, like we did with the Harvest House.
Let me know what I can do.
You bet. I'm sure they'll contact you.
That's fine.
That's part of the job, ain't it?
It really is. I mean, the mayor is supposed to be the face of the town, which they got shortchanged on me, but it is. But it's kind of time consuming. But I tell you what, you get around these people that are so giving, so humble. It kind of brings you down to a different level. It's all good. It humbles you.
Well, it's good for us to know that, regardless of what's going on in our lives, if we have a hard time, we have people there to help. And if things are going okay for you, you have opportunities to help. Not everybody in Burleson is prospering as much as all of us. I mean, we got people, Jennifer and Debbie both tell me these stories. We got a lot of people living in their cars in this whole, not just Burleson, but the whole DFW area.
Okay, so I go to the TCHC, which is Tarrant County Homeless Committee. And they give a presentation, and some of the new numbers, there's a whole new category of homeless families that couldn't afford their rent. Of course, they don't have a house, and they're living in this thing, and that percentage has really gotten stupid.
Well, it is, and what's happening is it's got to be a real problem in Fort Worth, and so some of them that have wheels are moving down here, migrating down here, and the thing is, what Jennifer will tell you is that it's stereotypical to place these people as certain types that are living in their cars, like they're thriftless or bums or whatever. That's not even close to true. A lot of these people that are living in their cars have jobs. And some of them professional jobs. They just are in between housing and they can't afford to get into a new place.
Well, 5% are veterans.
Yeah.
and they don't want to be. They don't want to talk to you. They want to be left alone. You know, and that's a horrible segment of it. It's frustrating. I walked away from that just, what can we do to help? Now, one of the issues we've got here, John Peter Smith is kind of a go-to for the homeless. They use the MedStar ambulance system as a taxi because they'll call in something very superficial. They get taken by ambulance to Parkland, and then they go down to Lancaster someplace to spend the night. It's a hard. Ford's got a hard problem. But
yes, they do.
We're right next to Fort Worth, so we've got to be mindful of that.
Well, and like I was mentioning, we need to get that out of our heads that only people that are unemployable or bums live in the cars. Or these are
That's not always the case.
No, it's not. She says the majority of the cases, in fact, are people that really, they have kids in school, they have jobs, but things have happened and they can't afford the rent or whatever else, and so she'll tell you the majority of them are not the stereotypical, bag lady, if you will, or whatever you want to call them, the shopping cart guy. So that's an issue, and I'm sure the city has to deal with that. And as we get bigger, we're going to have to deal with it more and more.
I didn't mean to derail you.
No, that's fine. It's an open conversation. That's fine. As far as last night's meeting, the thing I pulled out of it with just my brief glance and what Sarah and I were discussing was about the Airbnb issues. Now, do we have a policy in this town about Airbnb?
No.
And short-term rentals?
We gave them some direction last night. We reversed on this. A lot of this problem is you've got a house that has got a family living there. The next is a house they rent out. The issue we have that most of these Airbnbs are legitimate deals, are respectful of the neighbors and stuff of that nature.
Right.
They have rights. The people that rent it, they have rights too. So when you create rules to manage an Airbnb, the people next door have to manage it also. So you have to do this. Now, this is in the courts, the state Supreme Court,
right?
Even the federal level, they can't handle it either. So we have looked at all these different towns, at how they do it and how you do that. A lot of the things that they have on their books to regulate it, you're going to lose in a court of law.
Yeah, there was a news article on the TV news about a situation in Plano where the Airbnb was used as a brothel. Okay,
yes.
Was that
also in Arlington?
Yeah, in Arlington, and one in Dallas, and all this. I'm not going to say that's happening here, but was that the cause of this conversation, or are we having issues?
Not that
with
I know
Airbnb?
of. There've been 8 incidents in 5 years.
So, but
this is not what we call a high priority, but we see it coming this way.
Okay, so this isn't something like is going on in Burleson as becoming a problem. It's like a problem you see on the distant horizon because of the news stories, but as of right now, it may be an isolated incident or two of this kind of thing. But we're not talking about an epidemic of this.
No, we don't even know how many Airbnbs are in Burleson. I mean, they're being treated correct. They're treating their neighbors correctly. Nothing bad. We're not getting any reports, and I don't want to hurt those.
Right.
Okay. So what my suggestion was, the registration. I think everybody was on board with that. We weren't going to do the hotel tax on it, simply because the amount that we would collect wouldn't justify the cost to manage it. Okay, that's why we're looking at that. The council came together. We're going to do the registration. I wanted in the deal, and I think everybody agreed on it. We weren't voting on it. This was just giving direction. But I want the owner of the house to get the citation. If there's a nuisance going on, we stop by and we give them a warning. This is what's going to happen. The next time we drive by, we just give the owner a citation. The reason I want to do that, one group might get away with it. Well, we're starting off with another group. That's the same owner.
Right.
He keeps going. We keep sending it to him. Eventually, we'll put a lien on it. So, you've got to have some teeth in whatever you do. A lot of the problems we're having, you create a law, and I don't agree with creating some kind of rule that you can't enforce.
Right.
And that's the problem. Our police department is already strapped or shorthanded, and we're going to put something else on them that they have to watch for. Okay? So let's get down to the root of the cause. What's the core? What's the one thing, the common denominator on this? That's who owns the property. Send him the bill.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree because, like you said, these tenants are, here today, gone tomorrow, and that kind of thing. I haven't heard of this as a problem, and so when I was seeing this and the discussions this morning, I'm like, I didn't even know that was an issue. I didn't even know we had Airbnbs in Burleson, but there you are. And I don't know if they have that many, but I don't have a dog in this hunt, but I see the problem. You got personal property rights versus the neighbor's property rights, and if
how do you cross over? How do you make it
it's a tough call. I mean, if you got somebody that's right next door is an Airbnb that gets known for as a place of criminal activity or a hard party, and it's going to hurt your property values, and you got to respect that person's rights too. So.
And when Supreme Court can't come up with an answer?
Oh, that won't be the first time that's happened. So, but there you are. Now, as far as other business, I was talking with Victoria about late January, and we got off on the topic about that space that used to be for Hill College. Now, I've been, since this semester we started with the new space. Have you been there?
Yeah.
It's really nice, right? And has there been any discussion what to do with that old space, the old church? Hill College?
We're going to take it down. We got abatements we have to do as far as asbestos and stuff of that nature. So we're going to move forward to taking it down. And we've also sent out RFPs.
RFPs for those
requests for pricing.
Right. Okay.
So we send it out and there's companies out there that are in the business to create a retail type setup. They have connections to who could rent and stuff of that nature. And we're looking at bringing that in. That'll include a lot of public parking on the perimeter of it, which we need. We know we need that in Old Town. So, it's going to become a revenue-generating property for the city.
We were just, she and I were just what if, and, we didn't have any real plans or whatever else, but, she wanted a space there, maybe a mixed use of some sort, and have a space for, for people to gather together.
Yes,
and
it's a neat layout. I think we all like the layout.
Yeah, it's a great location. Maybe a few retail places. I don't know, hamburger joint. I don't know what they want, but just something like that. Whatever's developed there, but it fit in with the theme of Old Town, and it'll fit in with the looks of the city we're trying to create for that corridor on Renfro and whatnot. But as far as I didn't know if it's going to be taken over to the city and made like a public space, like a park or some sort, or is it going to be developed by private developers? I guess is where
it'll be private.
Private.
The city's not in the rental property business.
Well, I know, but you could use that space maybe for another park or some sort, or
It's pretty valuable.
That's what I was thinking that too. I mean, that's I'm sure.
We're trying to get property taxes down, and we've got to generate the revenue to be able to do that. We're on a great path. We got a great. Our director of finance has got his act together. We've got a great city manager, and they're working together to get these things done.
Well, I know that I was talking to a couple other people related to the city, and we have too many churches and too much prime property. We need to move them out, because they're in really great spaces, and that's a really great space. I mean, right?
Well, I agree with you, but good visibility gets more people in the building.
Yeah, right.
So
I know. It's just they were just joking and all that, but it was just we want.
But you're right.
The churches don't pay taxes, so there's I seem to remember this Church of Christ had this big piece of property, but now they moved out. So there you go. You're familiar with that building, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. I took care of that building for a long time.
Yeah, but now we got all these things going on.
I'm going to tell you a funny story. We had a problem with people going and changing the thermostat on it. So I went in the back room and put another thermostat up where I could control it there, and I left the old one up. Boy, they just wore that sucker out.
Yeah.
It was great days, too.
Yeah. But my daughter worked in that building when Renweb bought it, or started leasing it, when the old church moved out, and they leased that building, and my daughter worked at it. Now she works from home.
I was baptized in that building, me and my family. So
wow.
when it got tore down, I'm going like,
So how many times were you baptized?
I think he dipped me once.
Once good.
He's a good friend of mine, so he held me down a little long.
Held you down until all the sin bubbled out of you. We got that going on too.
I'll get even.
But as far as the space there, I don't have any real worries about what's going to be put there. I hope it's,
it'll be quality.
Yeah,
I
it'll be decent. I'm sure it will be. Nobody's going to spend that kind of money for junk. Because it's going to be get some money. It's going to get a high dollar because of its prime location.
I don't want it to be butted right up to the street like the ones on the right when you turn in. Mm-hmm. Great food up there, but I think we should have moved it back a little bit from the sidewalk. And I don't want to do that again.
No, you don't make it look like some sort of tunnel or something. I don't know. There'll be something there, but that's. She and I talked about that. We were talking about some of the proposals about the softball fields, and we talked about that last time before. Has there been any movement on that at all?
We've got a location picked out where we can move it, and understand moving those softball fields, that'd be cheaper than trying to fix those fields.
Yeah. Now, one thing Victoria corrected me on, because I was kind of omitting certain important facts, is that since that city park property, that's going to have to be. If we change that in any way, that
goes to the citizens.
Yeah, as a referendum, right? And I guess I knew that, but I didn't really explicitly talk about it. But now it's go to the citizens. My bet is if you have decent softball fields, that'll be a no-brainer for most people.
We are not getting rid of the softball field.
Well, I mean,
in fact, what we're going to put in is going to be better than what's there.
Well, you move the softball fields to another location.
Yes.
Because you can't, that property with that golf course and the location it is. I was telling Victoria, we really need a public arena of some sort, like Cleveland has, because like I was talking with Gabrina yesterday. They're having this big event at Pathways in about 2 weeks, right? A business expo. Well, I'm glad Pathways is being so generous with their space, but we need that to be in a city-owned space. We need to have that.
Bear with me.
All righty.
I took the city manager around the third week I was mayor and showed him what I wanted to do. And it's going to get there. It truly is going to get there. We're going to have that golf course is going to be a destination place when we get through it.
I think so too, and I think that most people will see the value of that because right now all that property does not pay taxes, and if you convert it over to private space, they'll be paying taxes. Also, I was saying we may be needing a deal like Fort Worth and Dallas does with the Omni hotels, because the Dallas City Council and the Fort Worth City Council voted to put some money into it. It was like seed money, and then Omni comes on board and they build these really nice hotels, and it's made money for Fort Worth. I know that much.
And when you look at these projects, we get a pro forma, I guess we could call it, of how it's going to benefit the city. Mm-hmm. And some of these are like 10 years out, but the return is just absolutely amazing. We got some projects coming up that I'm not going to talk about yet, but I promise you it's being handled correctly.
Well, I don't doubt that. And some people may be reluctant to put city money into a project like Fort Worth did with the Omni or Dallas did, but it's it's something very much to consider because Fort Worth is making the money off the conventions now. All right, Bill Janish, is it possible the city consider absorbing the short street between City Market and the old FUMC? I know which street he's talking about, to create more parking. That's probably a good idea.
That's been brought up, and it's a possibility. The developer's going to have to understand what's going on that to get it done long term.
Yeah,
there was some utilities also that they were talking about to get that done. That's really good, Bill.
Yeah,
it really is.
Good. I think it'll work. Because I'm kind of partial to that old building. I'm going to be somewhat sad to see it go down because I spent 20 years.
We're saving the stained glass.
Well, that's good too. That is important. I mean, that's hard to find, but it has to happen, and I knew it had to happen. I've been told that we were moving to this new location for 5 years now, and it had to happen. But it just when you spend 20 years in a building, you get it has memories. But it has memories for the people who used to go to church there. I went to a couple weddings there before it was.
Did you say, Sarah corrected us on it, it's a request for proposal. Appreciate that.
All righty. Oh, yeah, there it is. But we have about half the show left. Let's talk about the election. Do you want to do that?
don't care.
Oh, yeah, you do. You don't care. Yeah. So you don't care about the election? Is that what you just
I
said?
love the election. This is the first time that I've been an incumbent, though.
Well, is that different for you? I mean, when you ran 3 years ago, is this a different feeling for you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know more. I've been part of it more. I'm proud of our council. I want to show what the council. See, I've only been there for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I got shortchanged 6 months. So when we do this, I want people to know how proud I am of the council, but I also want to know what people I have done personally, mm-hmm. and I also want to lay out what we want done the next 3 years.
Well, when it comes to the downsides of the job, and I've had this brought up to me a couple of times since those messages. Sometimes those meetings have gotten kind of contentious. Assuming you win re-election, which you do have a strong opponent, and we all know that. But assuming you win re-election, are you going to approach that part of the job differently this time? Because we've had some city council meetings that have gotten kind of intense. Let's put it that way. I
don't know if it's changing it mm-hmm. or just learning the job. Mm-hmm. There was times when I should have ended it sooner. Mm-hmm. But it was told by me, by Ken, mm-hmm. you have freedom of speech, okay? So when you're sitting up there trying to run a meeting, something happens, some people want you to end it, but then there's other people that want you to let them talk. A lot of the times, you let them talk. Mm-hmm. Now, in the past, we've always had this problem. It hadn't been that many years ago when we've had two different situations where people felt like those needed to be ended. It was an embarrassment to Burleson.
Okay.
There is no way to know how to handle something. Sometimes it depends on the subject matter. There's a lot of things involved, and it's not an easy job running the meeting and then having to call people down to tell them to hush or to stop and stuff like that. I have done that and been criticized on that too. It's a learning process.
Yes, that's certainly the case. There were just a couple of people that messaged me asking about that, because that has been a point of concern for some people that pay attention to stuff, and also I do know that some private citizens have been involved in being called out by a couple of the council members. We've talked about this on the show before.
Well, that's been on different administrations too.
Well, okay, but they're not running.
I understand, but if you sit up there and you're the head honcho, mm-hmm. you're going to find out it's not as easy as you think.
Oh, no, I'm not criticizing that.
So,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there have.
Should I have done it different?
Yes, is what I'm
Probably
asking.
So.
You. That's the question. Where I think you should.
Probably so.
I will have to agree with that question. I think there's a couple of times I wish you had said something. No, that's too far.
Maybe I should have. But it could have gone the other direction too if I had.
Well, anyway, that was the couple citizens asked me to ask you that question, and I felt obligated to do that.
I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, I understand.
We've talked. Well, we've been doing this now for quite some time now, and we've talked about this before, and we've addressed those issues when they came up those times, and so we don't need to really, rehash all of that. But that was one of the questions. Is if
I've pretty well told you too. Don't whatever you want to ask.
All right. And as far but that was a couple of them said one about that. Also, a couple of them were asking about tax issues. Do you feel like you've been able to do what you wanted to do with the tax rates? Because when you ran 2.5 years ago, that was a big party program.
We've done it, and we actually had a chance at one point in time to put another 1 cent on it, mm-hmm. and I was against that because we have no idea what 2023 and 2024 mm-hmm. what that economy is going to be.
Right.
And it's going in that direction right now. Mm-hmm. If we would have given another 1 cent, it would have been $18 on the average, $18 per household, and we would have had to given up some projects of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was the right decision. If the economy had gone down and we had given that penny up, we would have had to kill some of the road projects that we have laid out right now. Mm-hmm. So it's a balancing act of your revenue in and paying your bills and then guessing what the future is going to be. Our whole budget is based on a 3% growth. We know we're going to beat that, but we got to be conservative and then manage the money down the road. We have got a great situation like our bond project because of what we've done with the TRTC, the RTC, and the COG, which you said was boring last time.
I did say that.
You did,
Yeah.
and then you railroaded me. Because of what we've done on that, TxDOT might be picking up some of the tab on some of those projects. That's going to open the door up to get some stuff done.
That's what governing is. Sometimes it's boring, right? You've had
long meetings.
Yeah, long meetings, a lot of detail, a lot of what is, and I'm sure you had a pretty big learning curve like everybody would have when you jump into this situation. What have you learned that you think in the last 2.5 years?
And let me say something.
Okay.
The mayor of North Richland Hills, Oscar Trevino, if he had not called me to ask me to be on the TRTC, we wouldn't be getting the stuff done that we're getting done now. So that was a God thing, I think, when he called me and said, "Would you do it?" And I didn't even know what that was.
Well, okay. And my question was, what do you think you've learned since you've been mayor? Learned differently. Let's say, I'm sure you went into this job with a certain level of expectations. What have you learned differently?
Boy, there's probably a list here, and I'm having a hard time thinking of one.
I mean, because I'm sure you said, okay, I want to do this job. I have some ideas. I wanted to do some, and then when it was hit with the reality of things,
the ideas are all going. I got the only thing that I wanted to do that I didn't get done, and I personally ended it. It was the digital sign, and the reason I ended that is because I'm not going to have the city put a sign up when the rules say no more billboards.
Okay.
I'm not going to say do as I say, not as I do. So I was the one that ended that project. Everything else is being done. Okay. The problem that I have, and we're going to get on social media here, is the misinformation out there. There's so many people that think they know how to do it. There was one lady that, and we've got, let's talk about the lights on Wilshire.
Okay.
We're getting the new lighting system that allows us to do on the fly changes. We'll even have fixtures in our fire trucks, police trucks that will change the lights as they're moving. This will be an office that monitors all this. Okay? That's good. But it's going to be hard to get there.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on.
So, well, I guess what you're saying is you learned it's a whole lot of process to get to point A to point B.
It is. Yeah. And being a business owner, when you have a problem, you have a meeting, the next day you go fix it. This, in government, it just takes so long because, if you change the proposal, it has to come back to council. If you do this, we've eliminated a lot of the micromanaging by council. We are now a policy-creating entity, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, I've been involved in government bureaucracies before, not as a school teacher, but my tenure down in Austin on a committee was on, and nothing got done fast. I mean, it would take 9 months to go from one point to another.
Well, and to go back to the lighting, one lady said, you need to call the city department lighting department. We don't have a lighting department. We don't. Those roads, those lights right now are in charge of TxDOT. So it's the misinformation.
So you kind of mentioned, you mentioned kind of, if I add on to what you were talking about, you said one of the things that made it more difficult may be social media. Is that, or am I mistaken?
It's getting a lot better.
Okay, it's getting better.
It's getting a lot better. The fact that when I got the job, I was trying to do the text to everybody and the emails to everybody, and that wasn't working out. So I went and got a separate phone, and now I'll reply to them and saying, "Give me your phone number and we'll talk." That is one of the best things I've ever done, because even when people are upset, if you just talk to them and get it out instead of sending text and messages back and forth, it takes forever. Yeah. I've had a lot of people that were upset when we get through. At least they understand why.
Well, and like I've said, I've contacted you before, and you have called me, so I can vouch that.
I call everybody.
Yeah, and I just was wondering though. You go in with one set of expectations and you find out, wow, this is different in some ways. I wondered what you found to be different. And I guess you tell me that a lot of the bureaucracies were, you didn't really expect to have to deal with the city stuff. But as somebody who worked in the public sector like I did, I couldn't get a box of paper clips without going through a bunch of process in the schools. I mean, it'd take like literally 3 weeks to get a pencil. And so I'm kind of accustomed to that kind of, but not, for y'all in the private sector, you just go get it,
Okay, Sarah just put a deal up there, and I appreciate this. It really doesn't matter which direction I go when I'm running the meeting. You're trying to control people and everything, but you're absolutely right. It's complicated, and it don't matter which way you go. You're going to get criticized one way or another, and that's a burden. It really is. I want to treat everybody fair, but in the moment, you're trying to figure out what is fair. So. I have no problem with the criticism. I need to learn how to do this right.
Let's say I'm new to town, and I'm now a registered voter, but I didn't know you. I don't know Ronnie. I don't know any of the players, the backgrounds. What would you tell me is the reason I should vote for you?
My history.
Okay, you'd have to tell me your history because I'm just
to tell you my history. It's going to include what the council has voted on and passed. The fact that I felt very adamant about our bond package, and I was the only one out there that was fighting for it. You ought to do a Q&A for 150 people. See how that goes for you.
Well, I'm just saying, let's say I'm ignorant of all these things. I just moved here, and I don't know you. I don't know any of the players. I don't know, I got Ronnie. I don't know who that is. Blah blah blah. What would you say to me the reason I should vote for you? Because you say your history.
There's not a short answer to that. Look what I've done in only 2 years.
Okay.
And I did that with the help of counsel. I'm not saying I did all of it.
Right.
If you understand the amount of time I had to create relationships to get things done, including these boards and the TRTC, the RTC, and the COG, and then you turn back around and we just had our first Johnson County mayor's meeting with their city managers with the county judge. You got to combine all of that to see what's been done. I've got hours in on trying to get things. We now have a relationship with Cleburne, which puts a package together for a regional road that TxDOT says, oh, that's regional. That covers a county. Let's do that one. You have to get on the list with TxDOT to get jobs done. Sometimes it gets years out, but if it's a regional road, we do that. We need to help our small towns. They need to prosper so they can help us with our task force to fight crime, or fight drugs. They struggle. We can help with that without a penny out of our pocket, okay? And that's what we've brought to the table. There is so many things going on, and a lot of it I can't even talk about yet that I'm excited about. I'm excited about the people that's running for council. I think it'll be good. I can work with anybody, but most of these guys I know.
Well, I didn't know if I was going to bring this up, but now that your opponent is also on the council, has it affected y'all's working relationship?
No. The first time we was on a meeting, I went up to him and I said, Ronnie, let's get this out of the way. Good luck. I wish you the best. And he said the same thing.
Okay.
So, no, it hadn't affected us at all. I saw him last night and everything's fine.
Good. And it's good for the city because we don't want to, because it's a hard choice. I mean, there's a lot of people that know Ronnie well, and you know very well this, that it's going to be, for some people, it's going to be a difficult choice because they know you and they know him, and it's going to be tough.
I understand that.
Yeah. It's like, the school board race, a lot of people like both candidates, and it's going to be tough. And there you are. The question I was asking, when you, we were talking prior to the show, we just kind of briefly mentioned, would you want to debate Mr. Johnson in public, either on this platform or
that's
a public?
fine. Whatever he wants to do.
Really? So if I get you both in the same room, we'll have the same rules, we'll have the same questions. I'll give Ronnie Johnson 15 minutes to answer, and you get 30 seconds.
Ronnie's not mean.
You didn't catch that, didn't you?
Ronnie's not mean. I'm not mean. If you want to do that, go ahead and do it.
I know. You didn't catch it. I was going to give you.
I did catch it.
All right, fine. I was just
some
gigging,
things some things don't deserve an answer.
All right, I was just trolling you. Oh, good shot. Anyway, I was just trolling. No, it'd be what I have in mind is
still Peckerwood.
Yeah, I know. Like I say. Similar to what they do with the presidential ones, 2.5 minutes responses and stuff like that. And, the questions will be known beforehand and whatnot. And then that kind of thing. So it won't be like, any surprises or anything like that. I'd like to see it happen. I'd like to see it happen here because, not just because my show and the numbers and all that. That's all great, but also this way we could do it just in a quieter setting without people in the background making noises like they do at the presidential campaigns or making comments or oh, that's all this other response or reactions to your questions. That way you just have quiet civil conversation between the two candidates as opposed to having people in the background making spectacles of themselves. I've been to a couple of those things, and it's like I'm here to listen to the
I was part of a couple of them.
Yeah, and it's not fun, is it? It's not good for anybody.
You have hecklers in the back of the room going after you.
Or they're going to try to trip you up and make you think they're the part of the show, and they don't need to do it. I'll ask Mr. Johnson next week. He comes on next Tuesday.
That's fine. Whatever you want to do.
And we'll work it out. I can't speak for him, so I'll let him answer his own question about that. But I do know a couple of people also said they like to see that because it would be good for the city. It really would to see civil and cordial conversation about the future of their community. And I think that could happen because, regardless if y'all are political opponents in this race, you all do have a working and a pretty friendly relationship from what I've seen.
Yeah, I have no problem with Ronnie.
Yeah, that's good. And that's good for us. I had one other question, but it just escaped my mind because you called me a peckerwood and right out the window. But
scared you, didn't it?
No, heck, I've been called worse than that today. You'd be surprised. These Dallas Baptist students could be pretty mean. But as far as campaigning, I know there's usually it starts after the sign-up session's over in about 10 days. Do you plan on public campaigning events?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we I will sit down with any group that wants me there. I'll even furnish the food.
Oh.
What I want is I like small groups, anywhere from 20 to 40 people, question and answers, Q&A. I love Q&As. I don't like speaking so much, but Q&As I enjoy. Say where.
Well, there's probably 3 or 4 restaurants that wouldn't mind doing it.
I'm fine. I'm not looking to bring people in and just support me. I want people that's got issues with me. I need to know them.
Yeah. You feel better about this race than you did 2.5 years ago, it seems like. At least as an incumbent, you know what you're asking for now. Better.
It's hard on an incumbent. And I tell you what, when you walk into your first meeting and 5 of the people endorse the other guy, you kind of puckered up there for a little while going like, and that is, it's been a great group. We've gotten a lot of neat stuff done. We've caught up on our parks jobs. The money is being managed well. The city's in a good shop, a good place, and I appreciate all that staff up there that works for us.
Well, we do have good staff. Not just from this angle, but I've also dealt with them as a citizen, and I've always been well treated and professionally treated. So I'm really pleased with that. And I like what's going on with some of the things in the city. I really do. We are in a great position. Shandy will tell you that we are in a prime location, beyond the highway, just south of a major metropolitan area. So we are in tall cotton here, and so
our roads are getting fixed.
Well, next week, like I said, I'll have Mr. Johnson on. I'll ask him pretty much these same questions, and we'll let him speak for himself. That's a good thing about this whole format. Let's see. We read those. But anyway, Sarah, I see Sarah's been participating in this, and I sure appreciate it. I bet she can get some support for a debate between the two of y'all with their influence.
Peanut Gallery.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. Okay, since we're about wrapped up here, you want to have the last word? Go ahead. And the last word can't be peckerwood, by the way. So
just you. This is the process that makes us great. It really does. If you've got any inkling to want to help with the city, you ought to think about running. We have a council meeting now. A lot of people are showing up. They learn. They do this. We're hoping to do a city university. In other words, we want a program where we can take people through and show them how things work and understand this stuff. They did this in Denton. when the city manager was there, and it's kind of an education to understand what we have to deal with. One of the hardest things I have to do is I can't visit with other council members because of the rules. You can't have a silent quorum.
Right, the open meetings rules. I had to deal with that down in Austin, yes.
So you have this time in front of everybody to discuss everything, and you know, that kind of handicaps you.
Mm-hmm.
Me calling citizens is a way to get things done.
Mm-hmm.
When you can only do this the first and third Monday of the month, it makes it a little difficult to make the right decision sometimes. Last night was a good meeting because we had discussion up there on some projects. Really appreciated Dan and his experience with paving and stuff of that nature. He was really important on that issue. So, yeah, Ronnie had some good comments on the project that the citizen came in and was talking to us about. Last night was a good meeting. It really was. So,
well, while we're here, before we leave the studio today, I got the calendar up, so we'll make sure we got the calendar straight for next March, because I had you on a little early this month, but you were adaptable, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming. I hope the people here have gotten some insight into what you're thinking and to what's going on with the city. Like I said, Thursday have Megan Swearingen. I keep calling her Hollowell, which is her maiden name. And Summer Garcia will be here. Shandy will be here Monday. Ronnie will be here Tuesday. Next Thursday will be BSD. Michaela Hill will tell me who she's sending.
We've already done an hour.
Easily. Oh, yeah. We started about 2 minutes later, and it's been about 53 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, when you're engaged in high level conversation, the time flies. All righty, and we'll see y'all next Thursday.
Thank you.